Good morning. I'm Susan Richter. I am the director of the Vernia Heritage Museum here in Vernia, Texas. Today we want to share with you some of the great books, booklets, items that we use in our research here in Vernia. The first book is such a treasure to us. It is titled Minutes of the Session, Rector Chapel, Vernia, Texas. And it contains information and the minutes of that church from 1852 to 1914. The first wonderful item in the book is the date and the meeting when the church was created. And it was created in June of 1852 with only 6 members, 4 were men and 2 were women. You can notice that the pages are very fragile. We handle them with care, and we want to let you know some of the priceless information that we have gotten from this book. Besides the date and the description of the meeting and the people that were there of the first meetings, we also found out when the church decided that it was going to create the cemetery, which was 4 acres donated to the church at that time, and that was in 1890. In November of 1890, the congregation met, had their meeting, talked about, discussed, voted on whether this church, being 2 miles outside of Vernia, on present day 2772 Farm to Market Road, it was moved 2 miles across the Cibolo at that time and ended up on Chihuahua Street in downtown Vernia. The votes for passed, and the church was moved. From this date in November, they began working on it and moved it in December 1890 and finished in January of 1891. Other information that we have found is that it gave a wonderful sketch of the church itself. So from here, we were able to find out how much the church cost, when they moved it, information about the congregation, information about every pastor that was here. Wonderful information. Now, I told you that we received it from someone, and actually Half Price Books in San Antonio, one of their stores, the owner or manager of one of those stores decided that we needed to have this. So he mailed it to us one day, and it has been priceless for us. Since we received this in 2016, one of our members took the time to actually transcribe this book. Since it can't be handled, this is going to be really wonderful in our non-lending library that is soon to come. And you will be able to actually read it and actually do a search on the information in there. Another one of our books that we received, one of our members donated it to us, is a great history of Vernia, Texas. Old home near Vernia, Texas is this picture. The government class of Vernia High School in 1937-38 decided to put together a history of Vernia. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Written and compiled by the civil government class of the Vernia High School, the year 1936-37, and all of the class members are listed. And I have to say that all of these members continued to live in Lavernia and helped make Lavernia great. This book of history is stories that these people actually lived, and they heard these stories from their parents and grandparents. While we have always used this as a basis for information about Lavernia, a lot of it has been researched and is changed a little bit from in this booklet, but we thank that class for creating this. While talking about this particular book, we also came across an advertisement for the book. And back then, one of the members of the class, Lucille Wyatt, must have created this advertising, and you could have bought this booklet for 30 cents. We thought that was wonderful, showing that they were enterprising enough to sell their work. A lot of you may already be aware of this book. It is A Century of Light, History of Brayan Lodge number 226 in Lavernia, Texas. This book is instrumental in describing how Lavernia was settled, the people that were here, the businesses. It is copyrighted from 1959. Written by D.L. Vest. This is a picture of the lodge at that time when Mr. Vest wrote it. And this book talks about the period of settlement of Lavernia. It talks about the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. And by the way, so many of Lavernia's men did go and fight in the Civil War. There's another great picture in it of the Brayan Lodge. World War I. And in the back, it has information about so many of the members and the years that they served. Again, A Century of Light talks about 100 years of this Brayan Lodge. This book is also not reprinted, so if you find a copy, grab it. This little jewel is a Wilson County Centennial book from 1860 to 1960, when Wilson County, Texas, had its centennial. We use this also as a basis for our research, and we will have that in our non-lending library. This item, you can tell how fragile it is from 1938. It is a directory of all the town's information about Wilson County, Texas. And it even lists who was in the town at the time. You can see how bad it is. But it does describe all the towns in the county. And we were very fortunate that we have some of our members who actually took copies of this book, and so it's more available for research, and it can be handled in our non-lending library. This book here, as you can see, is a thesis written in 1956 by Frida Elaine Garner, who was from Stockdale, Texas. It has information about the entire county, focuses somewhat on Stockdale, Texas, but it is great for doing research. As you can see, These are books that you are welcome to do research with once we open our non-lending library. It has not been open now, but it soon will be, and there'll be information for you to see online at laverniahistory.com. We are, of course, a project of the Vernia Historical Association, Vernia, Texas. Thank you.